And if somebody goes online and cancels an appointment 3 weeks out, and let's say there's 3 people on the wait list that want that appointment, Jane is going to send text messages and emails to those people and give them the opportunity to go online and book that space before it gets released to the general public. And these things are happening without you having to worry about it or your front desk having to worry about it, which is really nice.
Hey everybody, it's EHR, our 3 letters that you don't know what that means, or maybe you are looking for the best EHR, in my opinion, the most friendly EHR, the most clinic-focused and patient-centric EHR. We're going to take a look behind the scenes at Jane. I am lucky to be sitting here with Amy from the Jane team, and she is going to walk me and you through the key aspects of how Jane can really help your practice run more efficiently and more effectively. And if you checked out Jane in the past, there'll probably be some things here that you are going to notice have evolved and changed. And if you have not, you're going to be very surprised at what you see, because it's not only beautiful design, but it is ease of use. Amy, thanks for coming on and chatting today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk with you about Jane and show you around some of those key features that we have.
It is my pleasure. So let's pick it up with scheduling and online booking. I know this is a key component for so many docs out there, and Jane makes it super easy. So I'll let you kind of take it away with that.
Awesome. So what we're looking at on my screen here is our demo clinic, and our demo clinic is set up as multi-location and multi-practitioner. So, whether you have different disciplines within your clinic or you're a solo practitioner, as of right down here, your site would look a little bit more like this. Everything you see here that's in our beautiful Jane blue will be in your brand colors, and you can also add a background. And the idea here is to make this seamless. So you are able to you can either utilize our booking site almost as a website in and of itself, or if you have a website for your practice, you're actually able to create a booking now button, which you can do on your website. We also actually have the code to create an actual button. If you're, say, WordPress hosted or something like that, you can actually create a nice little widget for it there. Or, of course, all of our pages have unique URLs that you're able to link buttons to as well, which is really great. So along with this being all in your brand colors, you're able to upload a headshot, as well as put in some information about you as a practitioner. And then all of the services that you offer will be offered on the left-hand side by discipline. So if I wanted to take a quick look at what new patient visits are coming up, I can take a look at Dr. Rosewood's schedule, and I can click on an appointment. Jane's going to give me a couple of options. I can book more than one appointment. This is awfully handy when you're dealing with families. So Jane does actually have the ability to link patient profiles together. So if you see couples, or if you see families, if you're a pediatric chiropractor and you're looking after their children, you are able to actually have the parents be able to book for the children and for themselves, which is really nice. And that's what that book more button will allow them to do. Those relationships can either be set up administratively by you, or you do have the option to allow your patients to set them up themselves as well.
Love that.
This whoops, don't book that button. This is great because what is happening right now is happening in real time. If you were looking at your schedule while I was trying to book online, you're actually going to see a blocked out spot. So you can't accidentally double book yourself. There is no delay between what is happening in real time when someone's booking you online and what you're physically seeing on the schedule.
Fantastic.
And if they're happy with this date and time, they're going to go ahead and click the I'm done button. And that's going to take them through to the thanks for booking page. One key thing I did want to note is that you do also have an option. So Jane has an integrated payment system called Jane Payments. And with that, if you want to be able to collect, say, a deposit or get credit card on file, you're actually able to do that in this booking process. Between that last step of I'm done and this screen, it would stop them at a place where they can enter their credit card details. And Jane would let you know in much detail exactly what's happening. Either you're collecting a card on file and nothing's being charged at the time, or you're collecting a deposit. And of course, your other option is to have no payment policy at all, because with Jane Payments, you're also able to gather that credit card information on the intake paperwork. So it's all about how you prefer to gather that info from your patients.
Collecting that information up front, I think for so many practices is really, really important because it really helps take that extra, I think about it like a micro commitment, right? So a lot of docs out there, it's a new patient, no shows are big challenges. So collecting some of that information gets that little bit of extra buy-in. It's what's right and correct, in my opinion. And the ability to do that seamlessly within a single platform is absolutely awesome. So
Yeah, it's definitely terrific. Some of the things I wanted to point out about our Thanks for Booking page, which they also get by email as well, is that it's going to have all the usual suspects, that, you know, the date and time of the appointment, what they're coming in for, who that patient is. Again, that links back to you can book multiple appointments for multiple people. This little cancel button on this page is important to note because they're going to be able to cancel the appointment they literally just booked in case they go to add it to their calendar and go, oh, geez, I just double booked myself, right? You do, however, have control over whether or not you allow patients to be able to cancel online during the normal course of business. So if they were to come off this page, go tomorrow and go, oh, geez, I double booked myself, they're actually going to have to reach out to you to reschedule that unless you allow them to change that online. They can either reschedule or cancel should you have that setting, but you've got that flexibility based on how your business runs and what you prefer to see.
that's great.
Excellent. Couple of other key things. Any intake paperwork that is associated with this visit is going to be ready to be filled out. So they can click this button and start filling it out. They also have the option of clicking this from that email that they're going to get. And until they have filled that paperwork out, this button's just going to keep showing up in their face every time they get a reminder, whether that's through text or email, which, by the way, you do have unlimited text and email reminders. You can set up as many as you'd like, make them patient opt in or opt out, because some people like to be reminded a lot, like me, and some people are like, bug me once, that's all I want. So there you have that flexibility to do that, and they will continue to see this fill out intake form button even within those reminders until they have done it. Up to 24 hours before their appointment, if they have not done it, they will get an email that is specific to saying, hey, can you please fill out this intake paperwork before your visit?
Cool.
They're able to subscribe to their own calendar. So if you have an iCal or a Google Calendar and you want to be able to subscribe, they will see every appointment they book with you on their own personal calendars. Just another way to make sure that they don't forget. And then, of course, the cancellation policy. And you had touched on this a little bit, getting that micro commitment, whether that's a card on file or a small deposit. Again, you can put those things within your cancellation policy, which they see here. And the cancellation policy is also created as a consent within the intake paperwork so that you know that they've seen it, read it, and agree to what's within it. So those no-shows and that type of thing can be managed that way because they understand when they book with you that if they do no-show that appointment, there is a chance that they're going to get charged. And you can put that detailed information within your cancellation policy.
That's great.
Amazing. All right. So that's kind of a real quick overview of what our online booking page looks like and what that flow looks like. This was my introduction to Jane was as a patient. So this was the thing, this little booking by Jane down here at the bottom was what got me to actually look into Jane. And now here I am working for them. So I loved how easy this was because my entire life has been spent sitting with clipboards in an office and checking boxes. And this was so easy. I got to do it at the time that I booked, and I loved that. So this is probably one of my favorite parts of this is the patient experience for sure.
I think it's great. I'm just going to touch on some very briefly here, which is, docs, if you do not have the opportunity and availability for online booking currently, I'm just going to strongly encourage you to do so. Convenience is so critical with how people utilize healthcare now. And if your practice does not make it as convenient as possible, and the bottom line is most of us don't answer our phones 24/7. So really having that, and even if you did, still having the opportunity and availability for those that do not want to speak on the phone, or if you're not answering the phone, can't get a hold of you until the next day, it can sometimes be 5 minutes and they're on to the next provider. So being able to conveniently schedule on their terms, which means when they want and what's most convenient for them, whether it's that phone call or whether it's the opportunity to just take advantage of an online portal and an online booking and scheduling capabilities like Jane has here. This is something that can really help build, grow, and develop your practice, and it's going to become more and more prevalent. I know there's some people out there that are resistant to this idea with every ounce of them, and I'm going to be the one to say, take a look at what you can do to offer this in a meaningful way in your practice, because it will pay dividends as time goes on. And while it might not hurt, or you might not know the hurt of not having it now, that is going to become really prevalent and really relevant as time continues to progress, because this is becoming a standard in the industry. And Jane makes, as you can see, the entire process really nice from a patient perspective. And on the back end, you're going to be taken care of as well, because you're getting all the notifications, all the data is directly going into one system. And Amy, I'll let you kind of take it from there.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to touch on how much control you have over what time you offer to your patients online, because I know a lot of fear comes around, control of my schedule. I just don't want it out there and have everybody be able to book. And I promise you, Jane gives you lots of control. And we'll touch on that when we talk about the schedule. But right now, I'd love to talk about the My Account. Sticking with the patient experience, the My Account is basically your patient portal. So whether you choose to offer online booking or not, your patients are going to have access to this portal. This is HIPAA compliant. It is behind a secure login, secure and encrypted login. And there's a couple of key things. They're not going to see this piece here. It knows I'm logged in as a practitioner. Again, this will all be in your branding, and they're going to see their name. If they haven't filled out some intake paperwork, there's going to be a big banner here. So this is now the third way that we make sure that people are filling out their paperwork before they come in for their appointments. They're also going to be able to see the appointments that they have upcoming. And should you allow them to, they're going to be able to reschedule or cancel with a reason. Okay. One of the other cool features that Jane has, and I could quite literally do an entire demo just on this, we actually won some awards around our wait list. So if you have a very busy practice and you have a lot of people that are really wanting your time, the nice thing about this is that this can be automated so that they add themselves to your wait list, tell you when they're available and what days of the week. And if somebody goes online and cancels an appointment 3 weeks out, and let's say there's 3 people on the wait list that want that appointment, Jane is going to send text messages and emails to those people and give them the opportunity to go online and book that space before it gets released to the general public. So the idea is making sure that you have your schedule as full as possible. And these things are happening without you having to worry about it or your front desk having to worry about it, which is really nice.
That's super cool.
Yeah. The waitlist can also be managed for those people who are like, I really like to have control of my schedule, like we were talking about before. The waitlist can also be taken care of completely administratively as well. You can still add people to the waitlist, give them the option to add themselves, but you control whether or not you reach out to them and let them know that the spot is there or whether you'd like to release it. So lots of flexibility around our waitlist as well.
Yeah, it's a super cool benefit.
The appointment history, so they're going to be able to see not just what's upcoming, but what has been in the past. And that also is the case for their intake forms. So any intake forms that they have filled out will show here, and they'll be able to click on it and actually see the information that they provided you, as well as their consents and all that wonderful stuff. Basically, their record keeping, they don't have to bug you. You don't have to email it to them. They have it right within their portal. Any intake paperwork that they haven't yet completed, this is yet another place for them to be able to click on it and just start filling it out.
Yeah, this is a chiropractic assistant's dream, because we often get those questions from patients. I didn't see it. Can I get a copy, etc. So being able to have it on their side, so to speak, via the patient portal, their ability to log in, see it, get access to it, reduces friction at your front desk. And anytime you can improve, clinical operational efficiency, massive win. So this is like a CA's dream here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a few things on here that are nice and automated, and they basically will lift some of that workload off. Either like if you've got a solo practitioner, you need a lot of stuff lifted off your shoulders, and your front desk will always appreciate you to have something that will give them more time to focus on other things. Our documents section is an area within Jane where every patient profile has a documents section, and you are actually able to share chart notes, PDFs, or images in a HIPAA compliant way with your patients. So this is right now just a one-way information portal. So you can add something in here. Let's say you've told them to, maybe you'd like them to do some exercises or some stretches. You can add that information in here if you have it in a beautiful PDF. PDF document. It can be uploaded here. They can download it to their computer and work with it from there. The nice thing about this is that we have been working on a two-way patient communication. This is something that is brand new. It's probably one of our largest feature requests. And right now it is in beta, which is really exciting. So this is also going to be an area where you will be able to have patient communication two-way within Jane. They'll be able to see it here. There will also be text and email components to this as well, which is really nice. Also, the ability for them to be able to upload documentation back to you. That's another piece that is going to be part of two-way communication in the future that we're pretty excited about as well.
That's great.
Contact information. So if their phone number changes or their email changes, seems like a small little thing, but they're actually able to come in here and just do it themselves instead of having to phone you and let you know that it's changed. Credit cards on file. This is an area where if you have Jane payments, and let's say you did stop your patient and just put a credit card on file, they'd be able to see what card they have on file here, show the last 4 digits. They can either add a new card and they can remove any extra cards that may live there, but one card will always have to remain on file. If they need to have that removed, they're going to reach out to you to do so. And usually that happens once they've been discharged.
Yep.
They can pay any balances that they have. This can all be done online. We have pay balance texts and emails that can go. And basically what it does is it redirects them to this pay balance area of Jane. They can use the credit card on file or add one if they haven't put one on yet, and get that balance paid for you, which is really nice. And that ties into they're actually now able to see their receipts. If you have done demos with Jane in the past, receipts were not something they were able to see before, and now they are something that they can see, which is really nice. The notifications and reminders section is, again, another place where they can opt in and out of all the different text and email reminders that you may set up. They can manage their username and password. We do have social logins. Keep in mind that they are 100% HIPAA compliant. No information is actually shared. However, this can be turned off as well. So if you prefer to have no social logins, that can be turned off, and they have to have a unique username and password on your site. The 2-step verification of staff preferences, again, it knows I'm logged in as a staff member. They won't see that. We do have the opportunity to be able to set time zones, so which can be helpful. Like right now, a future iteration of time zone is to be able to have it linked to location. Right now, it's the whole clinic, and it's something that can be turned on and off. And of course, there's a nice book an appointment button here. So if they do log on to their portal, let's say they're a returning patient, they log on to their portal, they can just click the book an appointment button here. Important to note that all of this as well is mobile friendly. So everything that you see here shows up really nicely on a mobile phone.
Yeah, this is great. I'll just make one comment. I've personally used the pay balance feature to be able to collect some outstanding balances from patients. It worked so nice. We were able to collect it. It was a dream because nobody likes chasing down money. Nobody likes to be chased down, and nobody likes chasing down, right? So being able to have that automated in a super easy, super friendly, super clear, super direct way, absolute lifesaver. So thank you.
Awesome. One real fun thing that I get to say is since we're going to throw in a couple of new features here, is that we are actually working on an automated pay balance email. This is going to be especially important for those insurance accepting clinics, because once you have basically recorded your ERAs or your EOBs in Jane, the very next day, automatically your patient will get any balance remaining from after those insurance payments sent out to them. It'll have this beautiful pay balance button. It'll have a nice little statement, information about what they owe. And that will all happen. It's all going to be part of this notifications and reminders section where you're going to be able to set those up. So you can either turn them on or not, entirely up to you, but talk about a way to not have to worry about manually going through and sending emails or triggering texts or things like that. It's going to be automated now, which is awesome.
Music to my ears.
Terrific. All right. So that kind of ends what is more or less the patient experience side of things of Jane. There's more that we could discuss. I could do this all day, but let's take a look at the schedule. So when you first log into Jane as a practitioner, you're actually going to land here. This is your day view or your home base. There's some very cool information on this graph. If you're a solo practitioner, this is basically a real quick snapshot of how your business is doing. If you have multiple practitioners at your clinic, what they're going to see is going to be specific to them. And as the clinic owner, if you want to see the overall health of your business, you're going to be looking at our reports for that. Another important thing is that we do see some financial information here. If you're a clinic owner and you would prefer that that the people working with you don't see that financial information, that's entirely fine. That can be turned off. This entire dashboard could be turned off. And we're going to talk more about this when we hit a little bit on charting, because this is where we recommend you do your charting from. Okay. Right now, I want to take you to the main schedule. So I have just set up a location that is just a solo practitioner, but please understand, like as we saw on the online booking site, multiple practitioners is easy for Jane to handle as well. This is just nice and clean for you to be able to see some of the different features of the schedule itself. Couple of key things. Jane loves color and we love our symbols. You have 10 different colors that you can choose to color code your different appointment types by. If you have lots of different appointment types, you also are, a lot of people we find will color code them by group as well. But here we just have our new patient initial visit and we have our subsequent visits. So we've got 2 colors on the screen. This that you see here is in our gray stripes. These are breaks, and a break is an appointment you book yourself. So as I had mentioned before, that I promise you that you have tons of control over how much time you offer in your online booking. These are some of the ways that we do that. Breaks is a place for you to create basically an appointment for yourself. So yeah, if you have to leave early one day, you're able to just block that off of your regular schedule, and that way that time does not appear for your patients online. If you have regular lunches scheduled or meetings that happen, you're going to be able to put those into your schedule to make sure that that time is not included in what patients can book. A big key piece of that, of course, is going to be your shifts. So shifts are what tell Jane what your availability is, and you get to be as detailed with these shifts as you would like to be. So let's say I only want to have patients book my time in the afternoons and I save my mornings for administratively booked appointments. I can actually have 2 separate shifts on the one day. One is available online and one isn't. Some practitioners like to split up their days right down to, I only have a new patient appointment, an hour for new patient appointments a day. And we can actually use something called tags, which is an advanced scheduling feature, to tag that shift to make sure that's the only time offered if somebody clicks on a new patient appointment. So tons and tons of control over how you schedule. If you are a doctor that also sees more than one patient, let's say on a staggered schedule, like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15, maybe across 2 or 3 tables or 2 or 3 rooms, that is also something that Jane can handle as well. So you have the ability to have multiple room scheduling within Jane as well. This, as a solo practitioner, is just one person at a time, but we absolutely do offer the ability to do that.
Love that. Super convenient.
Fantastic. Couple of other things that are important to note. Like I said, we do love our symbols. Anything with a little cloud means that appointment was booked online. So you're going to be able to see really quickly, what did I book administratively? What did patients go ahead and book online themselves? Anything that has a little briefcase means that there is insurance information associated with that appointment. The other thing that we have, if I'm just going to go ahead and click on Greta's appointment here, we also have notes fields. And a note field, let's say we found out that Greta is late. And Greta told us she's late for all of her appointments. So we can say Greta is always late, because this note field is something that is specifically administrative. So between yourself and your staff, or even just reminders for yourself, anything that is put within a notes field here is associated directly with the appointment, but doesn't print anywhere within the patient chart or information. If I do want this to follow every appointment Greta books, because I want to be reminded, oh yeah, Greta's always late, I go ahead and I star that. And every time I book an appointment for Greta, this little note's going to pop up there for me.
That's cool.
And you're going to see I have a little speech bubble that lets me know I have a note on that appointment, which is awesome. Notes can also be turned into tasks as well. So if you do have, let's say you've got a few practitioners and some front desk staff or assistants, and you'd like to be able to say, hey, I'd like somebody to follow up with this person, or someone can reach back out and let them know that I need them to go for x-rays or something of that nature. You're actually able to create that as a note, turn it into a task, assign it to one of your staff members, and give it a deadline, so that, and it will appear for them like within their own menu when they log in. They have a My Tasks section, and they also have access to that under their staff profiles as well, which is a real cool feature. Fantastic. Intake paperwork also allows for you to be able to collect insurance information. If you are an insurance accepting clinic, you are able to collect that, and Jane gives you the option to review it and attach the policies. If, as a cash-based practice, you want to be able to offer super bills, Jane does that as well. So on our appointment panel, we have our insurance info section. I'm able to go ahead and add billing codes in here, collect payment from the patient, because of course this isn't creating a claim. It's just going to create a super bill. So I'll collect payment from the patient and then I'll be able to email them off their super bill. I can also do that in a batch as well. It'll batch all the PDFs for the days of service as separate PDFs and then send them a nice big email and they can just go ahead and submit it to their insurance company as well.
Nice.
Fantastic. So booking an appointment is as easy as clicking on those shifts. This blue-gray that you see behind here are the shifts that we have. So if I click on an available spot, I'm going to get a new appointment window. I can select my treatment, whether it's a new patient or a subsequent visit. If it is a new patient, I'm able to click my new patient button, and I'm actually able to enter their information right away from here. Cool thing about this is that to set up a profile in Jane, what we really need is only their first name and last name, because so much of what we do, though, is related to their email and their phone number for texting and their mobile phone number. We do suggest you collect those key pieces. Everything else you see here, all the rest of this demographic information is collected on the intake paperwork, and then Jane automatically populates it for you. So you don't have to worry about collecting their address or any of that information. Nice and quick. I just need your first name, last name, email, mobile phone, and you're done. And that person, you can go ahead and book them in. You also, of course, if it is a subsequent visit, you're able to search your patient list. So I'm going to see if I can find Gerald here. Oh, Gertrude. That's one. And then one of the key things you're going to notice is if they have been in before and they do have coverage, or if you offer super bills and you've added super bill information before, Jane's going to allow you to copy the previous information. It's going to pull all those codes, all of that information in from the last time that they were in. So I can go ahead and add the policy, and then I can go ahead and book the appointment. And just like that, Gertrude is booked in.
That's great. Yeah, being able to pull that information is just so convenient from a scheduling perspective. Instead of having to like double work, look for stuff, being able to search the patient, get them over with the correct information. And again, I always think about it from the business aspects, being able to have correct billing information, the most up-to-date billing information available at any given time with literally a click of a button is massive from an operational standpoint.
Absolutely. And we try to make it so that ideally the heaviest lift is your new patients, right? Because you've never seen them before. You're gathering all this information, brand new. But once you've gone ahead and got that information, once they're in the system, the idea should be that, sending them reminders to get them to come back in again and making sure that the billing information is correct. All of that should be as automated as possible. And that's possible because Jane does try to remind you, give you the opportunity to pull that information in from the last time they were in, all of that stuff to try to speed you up, which I think is really important.
Agreed.
Fantastic. A couple of key things about the schedule, which is really cool. We're looking at a week view, but if I just want to see 3 days, I can actually hit the number 3 on my keyboard and I'm going to see that change. Mm-hmm. I can go all the way from that to 7. I can navigate forward and backward within the schedule to see what's going on. And I also have a go to date button. So if somebody phones me and says, hey, can you book me in for March 12th? I can go all the way to March 12th and go ahead and get that booked in. Also, we have a lot of customized settings for the schedule itself. So, and these are per practitioner, which is really nice. So if I, instead of a 25%, which is our default schedule Zoom, let's say I like to see it at 75%, right? Because my vision stinks. I can do that. And that setting is personal to me. So it doesn't affect anybody else's view of the schedule. It's just something that is the way I like to see it, which is really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, we're able to group by discipline, include photos or not, show weekends. If you don't work weekends, just turn them off. And then that way your schedule is a little cleaner. We also have an accessibility mode, which will put some patterns behind these colors in case, someone on your staff is colorblind. And sometimes it's just even nice aesthetically to be able to pick out the difference as well. And then we also have a difference between paid and arrived states, which is the next thing I did want to show you. So let's go ahead and say I'm going to choose one of my patients who is a cash patient. So there is no insurance information associated here. So once I've gone ahead and arriving the appointment is basically the process of generating an invoice or a claim. So once you hit that arrive button, if there was insurance information, you've generated a claim. If there's any part of that, let's say you're collecting the copay, or in this case, cash based, they're just paying the whole thing. When we scroll down to our billing info section, here we have our unpaid invoice. Okay. Up at the top, our pay button is nice and bright and blue. I can go ahead and hit my pay. And then Jane is going to show me what they owe. Now, this is true not just of maybe the the appointment I just did, but let's say the last time they were in, they'd forgotten their wallet and they promised they'd pay you when they came in the next time. And you go ahead and you can actually, Jane will never let you forget that there's outstanding invoices here. You will always see what they owe. And I can say, okay, in this case, I am going to collect for everything here. And then on my last screen, this is the first screen is what do they owe? Last screen is how are they paying? And this is where I can either add a credit card if I'm using Jane Payments, or I can set up a bunch of different options for my outside of Jane Payments. This is basically just us telling Jane, hey, this was paid and this is how it was paid. So that's great for cash. If you still accept checks, good on you. And they can do that too. Let's say though you accept Venmo. Right? You can actually add Venmo as an option for outside of Jane. And that, again, will let Jane know this was paid by Venmo. And you can pull a report at the end of the day that says, I took $500 by Venmo, check your Venmo, and make sure that they match. So there's some tools there you can use to make sure everything's matching at the end.
That's awesome.
All right. So let's just go ahead and say she's going to pay me cash for the whole works. And I'm also able to pay with no receipt, pay and print a receipt, or pay and email the receipt, which is really nice. And then once the appointment is paid, you're going to see it's turned this beautiful dark green. And again, it has a dollar sign. And the dollar sign is always related to the patient payment. So if there's a patient pays amount that has not yet been settled, that dollar sign will not appear. So if, for example, I were to arrive this appointment, but there is no payment, you'll see a difference in the greens. Light green means they're here and they're maybe doing the appointment right now, but they have not yet paid. And if at the end of the day you see one that is light green, you're going to want to go back through and take a look. Did I collect payment for that? Did I have a plan for that? But this is a visual indication of where you're at with that status. So ideally, you should see a sea of nothing but beautiful dark green with dollar signs.
I like what you're saying.
Yeah, right? It should be as if in a perfect world. Wouldn't that be amazing? Fantastic. Do you have any other questions that you think your listeners would love to know about the schedule, or would you like to pop into charting?
Let's take a look at charting. I think the scheduling, you've just highlighted just how easy it is from the patient perspective, and then now from the provider, from the clinician's perspective, being able to grab the information, see the information, whether you're a solo provider or whether you have a team around you, clicking on and being able to get all of the relevant information that you need to be able to really ensure that that patient has a great experience on that visit is just so nice. So to see that come to fruition through an application that really guides your day in practice, your EHR is what you're in and out of each and every day. It is guiding every time you're seeing a patient or a patient schedules or a patient has interest. So I love the opportunities that there are within Jane to click and get the information you need to be able to make decisions, whether it's a payment decision, a clinical decision, a scheduling decision, a business decision on the whole. I love that because ultimately you got to stay in business to be able to serve your people. So having the business information available, embedded into, seamlessly integrated with all the clinical information and charting that we'll get into in a moment, I absolutely love. So let's dive into charting.
Fantastic. All right. So charting, I'm going to start with chart templates in the template library because that's always, I think, the best place to start. And those live under our staff profile. So when you click on your name, you're going to see any staff on the left-hand side. When you click on your name, you're going to see another submenu, which includes templates.
Yep.
Okay. So these are the templates that have currently been created by either myself or other practitioners within the demo clinic. And I am able to tell, like right now, none of these have I authored because I can only view them and I can't edit them. So let's talk about what your options are if you want to create a template on your own or if you want to browse our template library.
Okay.
So if we click our new template button, I can give my new template a name. And then I have the option of adding chart parts. So this is an important piece because a lot of people, especially if you're coming from paper charting, you're like, can I take this paper chart I've been using for 20 years and just upload it into Jane? And I would love to say yes to you. But the reason I'm going to say no is because Jane uses interactive chart parts to create a chart. So instead of just an image of a body chart that you're physically doing check boxes on, Jane has an interactive chart where you're able to drop pins and add notes, draw on it whatever you want to do. So it's not possible for us to take a flat piece of paper and turn it into a chart, but you can recreate it and make it the best flow for the way that you like to chart. So we have things such as primary complaints. We can add in, there's that body chart I was telling you. We give you a basic image, but this body chart is probably one of our most versatile chart parts because you're able to change this image to anything you would like it to be, including a table. So if you have like a table of check boxes or something of that nature that you would like to include, and instead of out rebuilding it, you're just like, I just want to check off my table, you're actually able to do that because you can upload the image and just check off on it with a pen right while you're charting. Very cool feature. We can, of course, have drop-down menus, and we have sliding scales and all of that wonderful stuff. So you can really build this chart out. The other thing that we do have that is up and coming, you're going to see that right here, is our smart soap note. So right now, Jane is working on AI assisted charting. So this is a voice to chart where you're going to basically, you start your note. You start talking with your patient. You ask them how they're doing, how things been going. This is what I'm going to do today, and this is how I'm going to work on you. And these are the things that it's important for AI to capture. It's just a conversation. You don't even have to touch your device or your computer again. And once it is complete, Jane will take the information, that voice recorded information, and actually put it into the Jane template that you've chosen and that you've created. And this is all using prompts, and Jane has prompts for you. This is currently in beta. And if you're interested, if you're already a Jane user and you're interested in becoming part of it, please reach out to Jane because we'd love to add you to the beta. The other thing as well is if you're interested in learning more about this, we absolutely do more detailed demos on that as well.
Super cool.
Very cool. So like I said, you can build a chart here using all of our very cool chart parts, and you can create a chart for the way that you like to chart. But even better, why start from scratch when so many amazing people and other professionals within your discipline have already done that work for you? So let's head over and take a look at our template library. So as you will see, every time I'm always astounded whenever I see this number, because I swear every time I look, it's 1,000 more. But we have nearly 20,000 chiropractic templates. And again, that some of them get quite specific, right down to like very pediatric focused, or if you have a specific specialization and you do and you search for keywords, I can almost guarantee you someone has created a note that will suit you. Once we click on that discipline, you're going to see all of them appear on the left-hand side. So we go by most popular, but you'll notice some of our most popular ones, man, these people have been using these for ages. So some of them might not be using some of the newer or better chart parts. So one of the options that you have is to actually search by newest templates. You can put them in order by A to Z. You can go ahead and click newest, and then you can start searching for specific keywords. So if I want to look for, let's say, an initial assessment, I can go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to get a preview of what that template looks like. It's even going to tell me who created it, which is nice. As I go through, I can say, geez, there's lots of things I like about this, but there's probably some changes I would make to it. Once I go ahead and click my add button, this template is now mine, and I'm able to edit it, okay? Which means I can edit any information within these note fields. I can change the image on this body chart. I have the ability to delete, edit, duplicate, or move up and down within the chart, any of these chart parts. So I can make this work for my flow. So if I really like it, but I think, geez, there's some things I would change, as soon as it's yours, it is yours to change. Add new sections, update things, whatever you would like to do to make it work for you.
Yeah, this helped my practice tremendously get up to speed super fast. So being able to look through those templates and identify what was going to work for us. And exactly as you showcased, we made some edits and fine-tuned them for us. But man, to get 80-90% of the way down the road was massive and just saved a tremendous amount of time.
And the nice thing about this too is that whoever has pulled in and created this template, and let's say they've done a bunch of work to it, and now they'd like to be able to share that with their other colleagues. Just like you see here, I'm actually able to opt in to templates. So if somebody says, hey, I just created this awesome new template, go check it out. You go look at it, you're like, I want that. You can actually just toggle it on, and now you're able to chart with that template as well. which is really great. Awesome. So now we've talked about how we create them, whether we do it ourselves or whether we go through the template library. Let's go talk about what they actually looks like to chart with one. So I'm going to head back to my day view because, as I mentioned, this is where we like you to chart from. And this, I realize this looks like it takes up a whole bunch of room, but there's a reason for that. When I click on the patient appointment on the left-hand side, I'm immediately in that patient's chart. When I go ahead and click on that one more time, I see the same appointment panel that I see from the schedule. So I can arrive this appointment, I can add billing information if I need to, and I can chart all from one screen, which is really nice because it saves you a lot of clicks. So what I'm looking at here is Greta did fill out her intake form, so I can take a look at what she had provided to me. And this is just a demo intake form, so way less information than I'm sure you will be collecting, but definitely nice to be able to see and review their intake, which is great. You're going to notice here, this is one I think a really cool feature that is underutilized. When you have a patient's intake paperwork, sometimes it's really nice to be able to see at a glance without having to go back to the intake form. What was it like? What were their medical indications? Like, let's say they have a heart condition or they're on a specific medication or there's a specific area you don't want to adjust because they have an issue. And I'd like to be able to see what those issues are at a glance. I can actually pin something from the patient's answers, right? So I'm going to grab my pin here. And see, it's going to show me right now what medications they're on. Let's say if this said, like, do you have a heart condition? And that would show right at the top. I'm also able to color code it. Let's say anything that is specific that the patient told me is yellow. Anything that I want to pin from a chart. So let's say I want to see, what their last progress note was, or if there had been any changes from the last time I adjusted them. I can also pin that from my note and make it a different color if I want to. And it's all right there at the top for you to be able to see, which I think is very cool. If I want to do a new chart entry, I'm going to click my new chart entry button. Everything we see up at the top here, these are quick chart entry options. So if I just want to put a really quick note to make it an official part of their chart notes, I can just drop a note in there. But the templates that we spent so much time working on are all down here. Any of the templates, this list should be nice and tidy for you because it will only be the templates that you're opted into, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and throw in that initial chiropractic assessment that we took a look at. So we have our check boxes. Of course, we're able to type into any of these fields. Key thing about any of our text fields within a note, if your device allows it, so if you're using a phone or a tablet, or even my MacBook does this, you can actually use the speech to text feature of your device and talk into any one of these text fields, which is really nice.
That's cool.
The other thing that we have is phrases, and phrases are like text expanders, like little macros. So if I start typing in, I put in my / and I start typing in, let's say, plan of care, it's going to give me an entire sentence. The great thing about this is, and again, I think this is one of these underutilized things, as you're typing away, if you're like, I have typed the same thing like 3 times today, if you highlight it, you're able to turn it into a phrase right from the chart while you're doing it. So you're actually able to make that text expander, and then you can use it in notes going forward. You can be like, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to type this out one more time today,
Nice.
Which is really nice. Our body charts, as I mentioned to you, when we're looking at the template, we just see the picture. Now that we're actually charting with it, we can see all of the controls that exist with it. So right now I'm on a pointer tool. So every time I drop a pin, Jane is going to give me a corresponding text box. If I want to get rid of a pin, I just remove the text box and the pin disappears. If I move to my pencil tool, I'm able to choose from 3 different stroke sizes as well as 3 different colors, and I can go ahead and draw right on my chart, which is really great. If I make a mistake, I can undo or redo anything. If I want to get rid of all of my drawings, I can hit my clear all, and then it'll go right back. So no worries about making a mistake, because we all do, especially if you're trying to work with a pen on a tablet or something of that nature. Absolutely, mistakes happen. You can undo and just keep going.
Right.
Awesome. So once I've gone ahead and I filled out all my information, and I did want to point out, we also do have a spine chart. This spine chart gives you a giant notes field, so you're able to click check boxes should you need to. Again, you can use the pencil tool and you can draw directly on these as well. You can also utilize, and some people prefer to do that body chart. They'll upload a spine chart because sometimes they like to be able to use the pins and notes feature. So lots of flexibility around how you like to chart, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Once I'm done with everything, So if I'm happy with everything that I have done, and I go ahead and I hit my sign button, I'm now basically telling Jane I'm completely done with this note. As of right now, you'll see over here on the left, I have an unlocked lock. That lets me know I have a note in draft. While a note is in draft, you can still interact with any of these chart parts. As soon as I hit this sign button, I can only make text amendments. So if you do have to go back a couple days later, you're like, geez, then you're going to make that text amendment, and that is dated and timestamped and becomes an official part of the chart.
Right.
All right. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and sign that. And now I have a signed note, which is great. One of the things that we also have the option for is utilizing something called treatment plans. So a treatment plan is basically a subset of folders. So let's say if you're working with someone just for general care and maintenance, and then that person gets into a car accident, and you need to be able to keep the car accident information separate from their general care, you're actually going to be able to do that by creating a treatment plan. So we can call this one car accident. This can be as detailed or make as much sense to you as you need it to. And then, of course, you can add a diagnosis. So let's say if they have, I believe there is a code for shoulder pain. Okay. I'm able to add up to 3 diagnosis codes that are associated with this particular accident. And I can put in how many visits that I think they need, or that maybe they're qualified for, or something of that nature. And then once I created that treatment plan, I can keep all of my chart notes that are associated with that underneath the plan. And it will also track how many appointments they've had, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. The medical alert field. This is a place, while the notes field is entirely administrative, so is this medical alert field. So this is something that appears for the practitioner because, of course, not everybody may have access to the chart notes. Everybody within the clinic will have access to the notes, but the chart notes are for the people who have access. So other practitioners, just yourself, depending on your charting privacy, which again, you also have control over. So when I come here, if I want to make sure, like if they do have a heart condition, I might want to have that front and center here. But because it doesn't print anywhere, you can also use it for relationship building. Let's say they tell you they're going to Hawaii. The next time they can come in, you can say, hey, how was your trip to Hawaii? And they're going to think you have an amazing memory.
That's cool.
Right. And that once I save that, it's going to save in a nice yellow banner all the way across the top. So yeah. And that is, like I said, I could go on and on without getting too crazy. That is an overview of charting in Jane.
Amy, this has been super, super insightful. I just want to speak to everybody listening and watching. We use Jane in my practice, and we found it just to be a really, really great tool. And I say tool with absolute respect, because often software can feel like an encumbrance. So when you can actually have that go completely the other direction, and it is a tool that facilitates communication, documentation, scheduling, and my billing and payments all together in one system, it just makes life so much easier. So I'm going to encourage everybody listening and watching, whether you are new to the Jane community, whether you're somebody who's been interested for a little while and just been maybe a little unsure of what the next steps are, I'm going to encourage you to click on down below, connect with the Jane team, hop on a one-on-one demo, ask your questions. I know Amy is more than happy and more than capable to answer in as much detail as you would like. But ultimately, the EHR that you and your team are using each day in your practice is going to be one of those critical, often overlooked levers that enables you to take care of more people, to help more people at a higher level, or it can encumber your ability to do so. So if you've been frustrated, if you've been challenged, if maybe you haven't wanted to take that leap, now is the time to explore the options and the opportunities, because as you probably have seen over our demo, there's so much out there, so much within Jane that can help you really step up, level up the patient experience and you and your team's experience with the care that you deliver each and every day. So Amy, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and highlighting so many power benefits that docs can expect once they get within Jane. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching this video on the Evidence-Based Chiropractor channel. If you don't want to miss a single thing, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notifications of every video we put out, and we put out new content each and every week. So be sure to subscribe today.